So we move on to one of the first PS3 games I owned. It's also one of the best games I had played at the time. There's a ton of reasons why, but let me slow down and begin from the start. In Uncharted Drake's Fortune, you play as Nathan Drake, who is essentially a treasure hunter. Drake is followed by Elena Fisher, a reporter that's trying to get the scoop on Sir Francis Drake's coffin, and Victor Sullivan, or Sully for short. Sully is the driver of the group for most of the game, and although he doesn't play as much of a role as the other two, he's still a major character in the series. What makes these characters great is that they're not heroes. They're simply people trying to make a buck. There's witty banter between them all that makes the game feel more like you're watching a movie of three old friends going on a journey, not really a Tomb Raider style game. Because of the constant banter and really just the general behaviors of the game, it's entirely believable. Well, most of it anyway. Anyway, after the opening battle with the pirates that also doubles as the quick tutorial, you end up in a tropical jungle searching for El Dorado, the ancient city of gold. Of course, it's not so simple, since there's another group headed by a guy named Roman going after the same thing. Most of the game takes place in this jungle, but for a change of scenery there's an ancient castle that needs to be scaled, underground ruins, and even 2 chapters that require you to pilot a jet ski down a river. Well, technically, the one is up a river, but that's besides the point. The jungle scene doesn't get old because there's plenty to look at. Birds fly around naturally, ruins of vehicles or buildings color the environment, and overall, everything just looks gorgeous. The graphical quality of Uncharted is one of the most impressive things about the game. Everything looks and feels the part. The puzzles also feel like they were invented in the correct time frame. No modern machinery is involved and is instead using things like chain gates and stone traps. Of course, there's a few in the beginning of the game where you need to burn plants to reveal doorways, but it's still nothing that would be considered to be a modern thing. The one thing about the game that could feel, for lack of a better word, scripted, are the puzzles that require you to get from areas that are out of reach. Drake could be considered a true ancestor of a monkey because he's able to hop around ledges with ease. Sometimes there's also going to be vines that Drake can climb or swing from. I get that this is a game, but given the otherwise realistic feel of the game, you can't help but wonder why every time Drake needs to get somewhere but a bridge or something is out, he can just find a bunch of conveniently dislodged bricks that he can climb and jump from to get to the other side. At least your partners don't have the same skills, so when you do need to climb around like a primate, they'll patiently wait for you to open up another pathway to them. Whether it be in the form of opening a previously locked door or blowing a hole in the wall with strategically placed explosives. Before I continue on, this jumping is also one of the problems with the game. Oftentimes, you'll see a ledge that you would assume that you need to climb on, but when you leap to it, Nate just bounces off of it and plummets to his death. Other times, you'll know where you need to go, but can't get the right angle of the jump, dying once again. And then there's other times where you think that you'd be able to drop from a ledge to a certain platform, but then find out that the fall was too great. And it doesn't matter if there's water or not. If the jump is too high, Nate will die. It can get frustrating when trying to figure out where exactly you need to go, but can't figure it out, because it seems like every jump ends up in death. The controls can also be considered loose at times. For example, there's a part about 3/4 into the game where you're in a catacomb area, jumping from platform to platform to try to open an iron gate. The Roman numerals essentially tell you which direction to go, but at the same time jumping onto some of the areas is questionable. In fact, I never even noticed this chain right here for a good 15 minutes. And once you climb to the top, it's difficult to see that brick at the right. The game allows you to leap to the left, but of course you die that way. Drake will typically reach out his arm to show which way he can move, but sometimes it's easy to mistime a jump. For example, in a monastery, Drake has to maneuver off of a bunch of wooden planks hanging from the ceiling. It's very easy to miss a jump or simply fall off. Other times, Drake will drop to the ledge of the platform. So why not now? There are simple inconsistencies that can infuriate some gamers. So you might be asking why you would want to try reaching some of these out-of-place ledges. The game is linear, and doesn't allow for an open world, but there's 60 treasures that you can find for achievements and reward points. These treasures do glint in the world to show their position a bit, but most of the times they are hidden behind objects and also in the otherwise dead ends. These treasures aren't required to finish the game, but they're a fun thing to try and find. So let's move on to the combat. It can be hit or miss at times, simply because it can be best described as hide and seek. At least, that's how I read it a few years ago, and I couldn't agree more. You and your enemies typically hide behind barriers and only pop off shots when it's safe. Of course, you'll still end up needing to take risks, and your enemies will attempt to flank you. In the beginning of the game, combat isn't too rough, but when the Spaz 12 shotguns, grenade launchers, and Desert Eagles start getting involved, your ability to take shots really starts to diminish quickly. Uncharted does feature a regenerating health meter, and it's clear as day when you're in danger. Basically, as you start getting hurt, the world will start losing color. You'll know that you're near death when the game is entirely black and white. It's a very interesting system to have, and it's fun to just see the color drain from the world when you get hurt. But that's not to say you want to get hurt. On the medium difficulty, Drake can take about a dozen basic shots, but if you decide to do a harder difficulty, this number drops significantly. In fact, on the unlockable crushing difficulty, Drake can only take about 2 shots before dying. It really gives an amazing challenge to the game, because otherwise, it's not too terribly hard. Well, at least it's not too hard until you reach the end of the game. Without spoiling too much of the actual story to you, Drake and the gang encounter mutated creatures, similar in looks to the Trigens in Far Cry. And just like those Trigens, these bastards can kill you quickly. Fortunately, they don't take too many bullets to defeat, but they're still an annoyance. Add in the enemy snipers and assault soldiers, and you're in for some true fun. Perhaps one of the other things that kinda sucks about the combat is the amount of ammo that Drake can carry. But, then again, keeping with the realistic tones, it makes sense. For the most part, Drake can only carry about 3 or 4 full clips for each weapon. Maximum shotgun shell capacity seems to be around 16, and many of the more powerful pistols cap off at 14. In addition, Drake can only carry 1 sidearm and 1 longer gun. He also has access to up to 4 grenades, which truly takes some practice to throw. Basically, in order to change the trajectory, you need to tilt your controller. Thankfully, this is fixed in later installments, but it makes throwing grenades a pain in the ass. As for the weapons themselves, there's quite a few, including about 4 pistols and about a dozen long-range guns. Some of them, like the revolver and the Dragon Sniper, are extremely rare and won't be found often, but others like the AK-47 and M4 can be found frequently. You'll catch yourself switching weapons out constantly due to ammo constraints. If you run out of ammo completely, you don't need to worry too much, because you do have access to 2 different melee combos. One is a simple one, achieved by pressing square 5 times. The other one, done by pressing square, triangle, and then square again, is a more difficult one to perform due to timing, but when performed drops twice as much ammo as a bonus. There's also a few rare times where stealth kills can be done, but this game is far from a stealth game, and in most cases shouldn't be played as such. The reason for this is simply that enemies will often hear you coming and kill you before you can get a single shot off. It's best just to get behind cover and take 1 good headshot before everyone figures out where you're at. As I said before, the characters in the story are really what makes this game. Although not as much as a movie game as, say, Metal Gear Solid 4, the game still plays out like something you'd watch in the theater, and you can't help but play more just to see what's going to happen next. There's several plot twists that make you say, holy shit, and still others that you can probably see coming. The voice acting really caps it all off, being so professionally done that you're probably going to lose yourself in the dialogue. If anything, hearing Drake's smart-ass one-liners will give you a laugh. Because of the somewhat looseness of the control system, Uncharted isn't a perfect game, but it's still a pretty damn good one. Anyone that enjoys good old-fashioned action games should definitely give this one a go. It is exclusive to PS3, so you do need one to play it, but it's definitely worth it. Co-op is sadly missing from it, and co-op would have been nice to have. Overall though, it's a gem of a game that would get better with the sequel. Final score? 9 out of 10. Now that I'm done with my review, here's some of the funnier parts of the game. Enjoy!
See you on the ground?
Right behind you!
Yeah. Okay.
What am I doing? Okay, you just jump, count to 5, and pull the cord. How hard could that be? Oh, crap!
I'm in the captain's quarters. Get this, he's still here.
What's that supposed to mean?
Ah, it looks like he was killed. Ripped to shreds, actually. Oof, what a way to go.
Yeah, sounds terrible. Take his wallet.
You're all hearts, Sully. Oh, crap.
Jake, if we don't make it out of here, I just want you to know, I hate your guts.
Yeah, likewise, pal. Now let's do this. All right, you got it. Close this thing back up.
Yeah.
Nate, be careful.
Come on. I always am.
Ah! I did not see that! Ah!